It's much more diverse than our history books tell us. Cheney, Goodman, and Schwerner. A black man from Mississippi was killed that day. So were 2 Jews from New York City. Marshall Gans in the Salinas Valley was Cesar Chavez. Gans doesn't sound like a Chicano name to me. Could be wrong. It's always Vicente Fox. But I've met Marshall. He's not Chicano. See, our movement has always been strong because its leaders, its organizers, its members have understood that our challenge isn't simply to advance one group, to advance our group, to exploit our self-interest in its most simple form, but rather to unite humanity, to move our nation towards that destiny that Frederick Douglass mapped out for us so long ago. To be as he was, yes, on fire for his own freedom, but ultimately understanding that being on fire for his own freedom meant he had to be on fire for everybody else's freedom as well. Last year, the NAACP announced our support for marriage equality. A few weeks later, LBGT groups in New York City, 36 of them stood with us at the Stonewall Inn and announced their support to end racial profiling in New York. As Ray Carey, the head of the National Gay Lesbian Task Force, said, there was no rational reason to raid the Stonewall Inn in 1969. And there is no rational reason to stop black and Latino men and women in 2012 and frisk them simply for being who they are. Constance of Maryland has embraced the cause of LBGT rights, and I am confident that just as we will pass the DREAM Act this fall, we will defeat Question 6 in Maryland. People say that the battle for immigrants' rights is different than the battle for LBGT rights, is different than the battle for African American rights. As if we don't have black immigrants, as if we don't have Latinos who are born here. The border crossed. You know your history. As if we don't have black and Latino and Asian American LBGT people in our families, in our homes, in our churches, and in this very room. Now, I'm proud of walking with many people in this room from Selma to Montgomery, or in my case, walking 12 miles, running back, hopping on a plane, and flying to Montgomery. Take a lot of days, y'all. Still 12 miles more than most folks. We did that. Sure, it reenacted a great march. But more than reenacting a great anything, sadly, it was greatly necessary today. Because Montgomery, after taking a brief sojourn into the 21st century, has hopped back in this time traveler to the late 19th century. I really think that for many leaders in Montgomery, they're much more comfortable living in a fantasy that they can somehow stop this nation's destiny. Many of them, their grandparents believe that way, their grandparents' grandparents believe that way, and all I can say is in each case they were wrong. The current governor of Alabama, if he needs a source for courage, When Governor Wallace himself, the man who had said segregation now, segregation forever, was forced to seek forgiveness from the widow of Martin Luther King. Our humanity is not optional, it's a fact. And the beauty about bigotry is that if a bigot just blinks for a second, they are forever transformed and forced to part with their past.